how to be a leader or how to mentor. It doesn't come naturally to us, right? And I think one of the things that has been most formative for me as a faculty member was attending a leadership course that taught me the skills that I wasn't getting from a mentor. And I think, it's like little things that make your life, that change your life, that faculty don't know. And that's, I think, one of the things that, perhaps if you're looking at how to develop faculty, it's those little things, taking control of your schedule. How do you advocate for yourself? Using social media. How does your department chair know what you're doing? These are things that we don't think about. We get so stuck in doing the day-to-day advising and mentoring and taking care of patients, but we're not always thinking about our own careers at the end of the day. And that makes such a big difference, because once you know what you need to do to be successful, that's how you can mentor other faculty that may be struggling. And that's how you build your village of faculty members that can help you mentor your students. And so it's not just you doing it. So think about it.
Yeah, I love that statement of building a village of faculty to support you. So once again, these comments were specifically about a lack of LHS Plus colleagues to be able to help you, right? That village of support for the students, a little bit slightly different from representation. You actually may have people who are LHS Plus, but they're just not engaged, right? Which is a second challenge. And I think some of the things that were mentioned is don't have time. And time is a real factor, right? One way to have a discussion with faculty is, well, let's spend some time to see how your time is broken down, right? And whether this work will help you meet the criteria for promotion, or will help you meet the criteria to move up along the dean's line, because there is the promotion into and up from assistant professor to associate to full with tenure, but then a concurrent track is being a director, a dean, an assistant, and associate, right? Those are separate, even though people think they're the same or intertwined, they're really separate, and you have to be strategic in both. But for individuals who, and we hope that people aspire to succeed and move up on both tracks, what is their time currently looking like? And can they use some of their academic time? So at most academic institutions, whether you're a research faculty member, a clinical faculty member, or an educator, you either have a 90-10 split or an 80-20. Some people have more, right? 90-10 is 90% doing clinical education, or research, and then that 10 is sort of building a portfolio, a niche, if need to, separate, or 20%, right? Many institutions have a 90-10 or 80-20. And it should be a question to the individual whether they want to develop expertise and be a leader in supporting LHS Plus faculty and students. Once again, the population is 20% in the country, 12% of our medical students, and 5% of only our faculty. And I think there is a space for you all to use that 10 or 20% and solely focus on the academic, personal, professional development of the LHS Plus students and faculty and be promoted. But the big thing about being promoted, depending on your institution, is writing and publishing. So going back to that contract, what is explicitly written in how your FTE is broken down? Everyone has FTE. You have to get clarity. And can you take that 10 or 20% and focus on LHS Plus expertise and a niche? As mentioned, and that's a structural barrier, right? Another structural barrier is hiring staff within the office to specifically focus on elements like mentorship. If we're struggling with how to mentor students and faculty, then hiring the staff to train our students and faculty. And that is, in some institutions, it's an innovation, but the reality is NIH wants the National Mentoring Research Network because they know that without mentors, you're not gonna have successful candidates for RRK awards. So similarly, we have to do that for clinician educators and clinical faculty. And then lastly, the skills and knowledge. And I think I said this yesterday, FPAC is well positioned to teach everyone else how to support our LHS Plus students and faculty. But if we do not assume the responsibility to write the books and to publish the curricula and Medit portal on how our colleagues can best support our community, no one's going to do it. Because those people that are most closely working with LHS Plus students are you. Right? So if we don't develop that curriculum, if we don't develop those book chapters, if we don't sit on the committees of LMSA and ensure that that perspective is included in general documents, nothing's going to change. We're going to continue to have a lack of knowledge and skills that's documented in textbooks. There's no way around that. Someone has to write it. And really, this is the perfect opportunity to move from the sentiment of imposter to expert. Right? You are the experts because of what you've been called to do and what students have already asked you to do. It's not in careers in medicine. It's not in the journals. There's no textbooks currently. There might be in a year. Someone might hear this and jump on it right away. Right? So I would just say that. So I think we covered two important topics, and in the interest of time, I think it's going to be hard to do another one, but we discussed the lack of LHS Plus identified faculty, and then as one barrier, and then the second barrier is even if you have them, can they really be engaged for different reasons? So any final thoughts before we close for our next session? Any final thoughts by anyone?
More than I thought, I guess just a question, because we've heard the barriers. I think they've been described in the literature to some degree. We share kind of opportunities, and you're pulling a call to us to do some scholarly work. So could this be the forum for us to get together somehow and find folks who really want to pursue that scholarly work and get going with it? So just kind of curious, what's the best way to do that moving forward? So.
Thank you. Yes. This is all about tag teaming. So yes, I think that FPAC can develop writing groups, right? And Sonia has done we've done a couple of sessions that she developed curriculum specifically around student affairs. And I think it's all about creating a 1-hour session, right? A faculty development. We're talking about faculty development, creating a 1-hour interactive case-based session with some stats, some best practices in the literature, and then proposing what we need to specifically do to support LHS Plus students, packaging it in a Medit portal submission. The other concurrent thing is we have to do a better job of disseminating. We have to serve to teach others, right? Once it's published, I still expect you to do the circle of grand rounds across the medical schools, right? People will invite you as a grand round speakers, but you have to extend yourself and say, I'm willing to own this and take responsibility. The more ground rounds talks you get and the more publications, you're going to skyrocket, right? Because your criteria for promotion is, are you doing local? Are you doing regional? And what's the last one? National. Well, we're a national network, right? From all 5 regions. So you just rotate through the 5 regions. You call up one of us and say, can I come and speak to your faculty? Really? Absolutely. Can I pay you $500 or $1,000? Yes, right? To ground rounds. So I think we just need to be strategic and think about, the infrastructure we've already built and advance it. So if anyone would like to assume responsibility for creating a module on the 2 topics we just discussed as a faculty development workshop, it's an easy sell. So we'll allow time in the chat box. If someone wants to serve on a committee to develop that workshop and move it into a Medit portal publication, just step forward in the chat box or, announce yourself right now. Okay, great. And your name again?
Monica.
So Monica, Dr. Yeps Rios is going to do it. Anyone else wants to join? You're not going to be by yourself. We're going to work. Dr. Wrench, who knows, right, that she has to do one, so it's perfect. She has an outcome in another year to do this very thing. Great. Anyone else? Oh. So the commitment is, I mean, I think that's what the group thinks. I typically do not give projects for over a year. The expectation is you have something to present at next LMSA National, right? More than years, you know, people drift off and do other things. But I think that in my own experience in working with several colleagues, you can design, implement, and evaluate a workshop, a 1-hour workshop, implemented at 5 different institutions, summarize the data, and publish it in Method Portal, a peer-reviewed journal publication. 1 year. It would roughly take, it depends on who's serving as first author, second author, third, last author. Of course, the first author has the heaviest lift. I would say that designing something like that would probably take, 15 to 20 hours. But while you're designing it, you always want to write your notes, which if you're doing it at the same time would probably take an additional 5 hours, and then implementing it will probably take another 10 hours. And then having everyone review it and analyze the data would probably be another 10 to 20 hours. So the lead author usually has the bulk of the work, probably about 50 hours over the year. And then the secondary and tertiary, somewhere between 10 and 20 over the year. That's just off the top of my head, having done this, publishing 30 articles in Method Portal alone. So believe me when I say I'm coming from experience.
JP, it looks like somebody in the chat is also willing to volunteer.
Griselda Alvarez. Where are you from, Griselda? Which school? UCLA. Great. So already 5 people, right? I mean, y'all super brilliant, right? Like, you think about everything you've accomplished. It really comes down to how do you organize these communications and giving people specific tasks. And it's totally feasible to get through it. Okay, our first team. So excellent. Monica, Alhelvis, Griselda, and Mara, and then Arnold also. Okay, 5 people. Excellent. More than enough hands. Monica and Alhelvis, because she has to do a project absolutely on this. So you, the 2 of you. Okay. So I think that's just another example of how you can collaborate around a pressing issue and publish it. And then guess what? You're presenting at each of your schools. You assume responsibility to bring it to your faculty. If you're a co-author and you want other people to do it, you got to do it at your own institution. 5 sites, more than enough sites to publish. Operations, all right? So with that, we're going to close out the session. The next session is going to start in 10 minutes. Am I wrong? 3 o'clock, right? See. Uh-huh.
Have you ever said from anybody, that you're idiots?
Have what? Have people told me no?
People say, no, we are not going to do that. But you, every time that you put something on the table, everyone says yes.
No. I get no's a lot. I get no's a lot. But I don't think that this work isn't work that you're not already doing. You're already doing the work. This is the work that gets you burnt out. So what we're trying to do is get work to not burn you out, but actually allow you to be valued, validated, credible, and to drive excellence. This is about transforming taxation to capital. So what you can't do is then say, JP, I'm getting taxed. I'm like, well, how do you convert that to capital then? Because it's not only the institution, it's also us. All right, awesome. So I think we have 4 minutes and then we'll enter the next session. People are coming over. Take a quick bathroom break and come back. Thank you, everyone. So we're almost done setting up and we're going to get started shortly. Sorry about the delays. This is the final session. This is the final session for the faculty, the professionals, the senior leaders, in conjunction as well with the students. So, I think since Tuesday, we've come together. As you know, Wednesday, Líderes started. Líderes is a new innovation to support a group that has always existed in LMSA. So once again, I think many of us have reflections of going through medical school, right? Because how many in here are alumni? How many in here are alumni of a medical school? Alumni of a medical school or a graduate program, PhD program, right? So many of us have the experience of going through medical school or doctoral school and being supported by alumni. The unique thing about the Latino Medical Student Association, having existed for over 50 years, is that, and I shouldn't say unique because SNMA, AMLA, AMA, organizations that have chapters in allopathic and osteopathic medical schools have existed as a collaborative effort between our students and our faculty and staff. That has been the case from day one, and that continues to be the case. But I would argue, and I think all of you have heard me say this before, that by not developing our faculty and staff, by not affording them appropriate faculty development, we perpetuated a culture of minority taxation. It was not only white identified individuals, right? It was also maybe a miss or a drop. And so I think that for the past 4 to 5 years, LMSA has situated itself to better support the faculty and staff, help transform this sentiment of taxation to diversity capital. The students, in conjunction with the faculty, often write responses to the accreditations, to the accreditation groups of our medical schools. For LCME, Standard 3.3 specifically states that medical schools must show how they're creating diverse workforces to support our diverse medical students, to support their academic, personal, and professional development. And who's doing that work? Who's doing that work? You are. You are doing this work. You have been doing this work. The students, when you were medical students, you were doing this work. As residents, you were doing this work. As fellows, you were doing this work. As faculty, you're doing this work. But I think we could do a better job of giving you the appropriate recognition using established criteria, and with institutions working in collaboration with LMSA, address the promotion challenges that our community has faced. The research shows that LHS Plus faculty take twice as long as their white counterparts to be promoted from assistant to associate. And for those who are willing and able to continue the journey, it's even harder to move from associate to full. And that's not even giving consideration to the lack of faculty development around the dean's track, right? So what I ask you to consider as we've spent time together over the past year with Líderes, which is specifically for professional development, aspiring to the next tier, as we've spent time together talking about listos to enhance, to help you have a greater awareness of promising and best practices in serving our students, as we've come together as alumni and professionals who want to become re-engaged in academia for different reasons, right? Some of us ran away screaming, "Get me out of here." It's a miracle I made it through medical school. All I want to do is open private practice. And now some of you have come back and said, you know what? I was really supported by LMSA. How can I give back? How can LMSA be the entry point to re-engage in academia? So what I'm going to ask you to do is let's work together, continue to work together to build the 330 faculty advisors that currently exist in our directory, an updated directory. 330 faculty advisors, the largest cohort of LHS Plus faculty of any organization. No organization has 50 years of engaging LHS Plus faculty, having them serve directly responsible. Not everyone has direct experience in medical schools taking care of our students. Prove it to me. Who else has chapters like us taking care of our Latino students? And we wouldn't even exist if our students were being taken care of right already. So we came about because there was a need, and we continue to serve that need. I can go on and on and on. And I might have to in the suite tonight, which you are all invited to 761 after the gala, 761 for a continued discussion. But I think what I want us to consider is, in having learned about Líderes, Listos, the alumni professional track, and more importantly, because I'm going to ask all of you, there's some deans in the room, there's also an executive vice dean. I want you all to go back to your deans and say, can we be a part of the National Center for LMSA Leadership and Advancement? The National Center for Leadership and Advancement of LMSA will help you address the accreditation standards of the LCME. It won't only help you, but along the way, LMSA will assume responsibility to do the faculty development that I know many of your medical schools are not doing in having spoken to you. It is time to invest in a national center. It does not come from HRSA. It does not come from NIH. It comes from our pockets, and it comes from each of our institutions. Grants are 5 years and they potentially disappear. We either bring together our funds to support what matters to us, or we can't say that we didn't cause part of these trends. In front of you is a description of the National Center for Lord. Too many centers. In front of you is the description of the National Center for LMSA Leadership and Advancement. Líderes, Listos, and the Alumni Professional Track come under that. Offering your faculty medical Spanish writing programs for them to publish their work and get promoted comes under that. Getting you visibility for your leadership on the LMSA webpage comes under that. And coming together in forums like this is served by the National Center. We have 17, who's a center member here? Raise your hand. So I'm going to ask each of you to talk about what it's meant to be a center member, because I'm on a mission. We have 140 chapters. We should have at least 140 center members. We want a chapter in every allopathic and osteopathic medical school. Similarly, I want every medical school to be a member of the National Center that will also take care of our challenge in hiring staff. We need staff to support this organization. And staff needs to get paid. So Dean Lucio has been a champion of this cause. He's our Deputy Executive Director. I'm going to ask him to start us off, and I want you all to share what the center has meant to you, but also what we need to do differently. Because nothing is perfect. Everything evolves. So Dean Lucio.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. I was privileged to be part of the inaugural cohort of center members, and in part, I think it's I believe in the zeal of Dr. Sanchez, the good work that it means to come together. We just had our LCME accreditation visit a couple of weeks ago, and so this was one of the areas that we did highlight as an important piece because we had been dinged for faculty development challenges. It's something that a lot of us face at our institutions, but something that we had a concrete action to say to their creditors, hey, this is what we've been doing, this is what it's been, and this is what it's meant for our faculty. And it's a great opportunity. In our earlier session, we were talking about, we have perhaps LHS Plus faculty that maybe aren't as engaged with offices of equity, diversity, inclusion, and or with LMSA. And this is another way to get those faculty to re-engage, because we're going to have opportunities for them for their professional development. I can only say good things and hope that others come on board and start to build that community out even more. So I just want to thank Dr. Sanchez and everybody who's helped to put this together, because I think it's a tremendous resource and asset for our institutions. Happy to pass it to the next person. Other center member.
So I'm going to tell my my accreditation story. As you all know, the Paul L. Foster School of Medicine is a brand new medical school. Well, we're 10 years old, but we were really proud of thinking of ourselves as our Health Sciences Center as one of the first HSI accredited health sciences centers. A little bit different than usual HSI centers. And so we established sort of a policy and we targeted looking at very specific admission criteria that favors people from the border, people from Hispanic families, people who can relate to our 83% population of Hispanic patients. And we had this very culturally appropriate, culturally dominant, actually, curriculum that really depended on our faculty. But we didn't have faculty development for Hispanic faculty specifically. We got cited. LCME came in, looked at standard 3.3 as JP said, and lo and behold, we were cited for being too minority focused. Okay, but when I went to the new president of the Health Sciences Center and said, look, we're too minority focused. We have a generalized faculty development program, but look at the people that are going into the faculty development program. We need to be able to show that if we're going to teach this curriculum, our Hispanic faculty need to be oriented. Yes, sir. We are. Well, but we can talk about the difference between diversity and that actually was the argument with LCME. Okay, we're teaching the majority curriculum. Okay, but having said that, we're not diverse. We're just as monocultural, according to the way the LCME sees it, as traditional Mid-American medical schools are. We kind of went a little bit overboard. I'll admit it in a closed room, okay? But when I went to the president, I said, we're not developing Hispanic faculty. That's where LMSA came in, okay? That's where the National Center came in. That's where Leaders comes in. And it only costs $3,000, $5,000. If you look at the cost of what you get, it's on the back page of the little handout. It's much, much, much cheaper than creating one of your own. So I think it's a decent investment. It's only $3,000, $5,000. It's going to take you a 10% faculty time to do it, which is not $3,000, $5,000. Whose turn?
My name is Algevi French. I am an assistant professor at Nova Southeastern University College of Allopathic Medicine. And we are a pretty new school. We are going to be graduating our first class this year. And we're very excited about that. Also coming for accreditation. Thank you. Also coming for accreditation coming on. But as a center member, from my experience, it has been very enlightening and very inspiring. And I've learned so much, not only as a faculty member, but I've learned so much on how to best mentor our students and how to help other LHS Plus faculty to be involved in mentoring and helping to challenge ourselves to help lower those disparities that we're also discussing all the time. And I am part of the fellow for the academic writing as well. And as Dr. Sanchez had mentioned, it's a great portal to disseminate this information. And I've learned so much through that as well. So being part of the center has brought to our college and to our faculty very, very, very contributions that are very important. And we will continue to be part of the center as well.
Hi, good afternoon. Val Romano-Leggett from University of New Mexico Health Sciences Center, and we have also had the privilege and honor to be inaugural members. I won't repeat, but I would very much support what my colleagues have just said. I think what I would add to that is that I feel like it has, well, certainly the whole accreditation, and as Manny said, it's so true. Like if you were trying to do this in your own organization, would be a lot more expensive, right? So you have an incredible return on investment. And it's also something, right, that's standardized, but above everything to me as I come together and as I'm part of this, it's really about like bringing us together as community, right? So it's wonderful because we don't have to feel like we're continued to be isolated in silos. Is just an incredible way to come again and bring us together, and also, right, to learn best practices from each other and learn from each other and continue to do that really important networking that is just crucial to not only career development for those in here, but then for our residents, for our students. I mean, there is the whole ripple effect, right? And so I've just found that to be just a really incredible asset to this as well. Thank you.
Also maybe having that sample serve as the director. Also reflecting on, where, what the center could mean and or some other things. Just faculty in advance, or just classification. Wow.
Well, I'm part-time at the University of Iowa, and they're another center that's part of Líderes. And I was kind of quickly trying to text for like a quote to give from the University of Iowa, but didn't get one back yet. But as far as my involvement for a long time with LMSA and past national executive director, and currently a national advisor and on the Southeast Regional Advisory Council as well. Definitely what I'm seeing with this is the realization of the dream and the ask that's been happening, at least since I started as a medical student, which is to increase the opportunities for students to interact and network with faculty physicians. And one of the things that Dr. Sanchez brought in his role was reminding the students, and I'm going to say, well, if we're going to ask them to be coming and giving more, we probably should be doing more for their professional development too, so that they can get the time from their universities and the funding, and that it helps them advance in their career, so that then, we can just continue along the whole pipeline to help each other. And so I've definitely seen this realized when he first started talking about this program. I really didn't understand. I gotta be honest, it was kind of too much to grasp. But so seeing it come together is it's been amazing, and I get it now. And we definitely need more institutions to join. And the institutions that have joined, it would be great to see even more involvement from their institutions with their faculty members, because a lot of the events are virtual as well, and so don't even necessarily have to come in person. I do think that it is also really, I keep seeing this as a metamorphosis or a developmental step or the next evolution of the organization. And when Dr. Sanchez and I had been talking about him potentially stepping in as the next national executive director, that was really the vision that the students and the board was hoping for with him coming in, was to help take, the organization to another level. And I mean, look at this conference, look at the attendees, the pre-meds, medical students, residents, fellows, faculty across the lifespan. I mean, the whole pipeline is really here this weekend. And I also have seen with my colleagues, who some are still in trainings, in fellowship, they had program directors tell them, no, you can't go to this conference. And things that we've learned through Listos, things that we've learned with Leaders helped. For example, one colleague wrote a letter for another fellow to the program director, letting the program director know what kind of conference this is and how helpful it would be for that fellow to be able to be here to speak. And that's when they were able to get permission to come. So I do see already results from the programming. From a mental health perspective, Dr. Romero-Leggett was saying too, I completely agree that the community and being together, I think, is very key in a time when so many of our physicians, so many of our community, are really struggling with wellness. And so I've heard again and again from my cohort years of physicians, how helpful it's been to meet up again here at this conference and to actually, reconnect. And it's invigorating. And in fact, there is a resident, there are a couple of residents here who had never been to an LMSA or an HMA event before. And it's just amazing to hear them talk about, one person said, I've never been in a room or anywhere with this many Latino physicians in my life. And one person said, I feel like I've really found my place, I would just say, please talk to your colleagues, talk to your other friends at other institutions, because we have a goal of doubling the number of institutions that we have. And that will help us reach goals like adding grant writers to, on staff, and goals of taking away really tasks that the students have been shouldering this entire time that are really not necessarily helpful for their professional development. I just am really grateful, Dr. Sanchez, for all your work, and I really support this program.
Thank you. Okay. So I know we are here to talk about creating an alliance between our faculty and our alumni and our current leadership in the LMSA medical school portion part. I can also see that y'all are falling asleep. So what I want to do is take a look at your table. Are you sitting with the same person you've been sitting with this whole time? Is there a student sitting at your table? Is there a student sitting at your table? Okay, how many students are here? Beautiful. Now, recruit a student to your table, please. Ira. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Everyone's introducing themselves. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Y'all woke up, y'all stood up, y'all smiled. That is what I want to see. So now you have a student at your table. Each of the students here is a leader in LMSA in one way or another. And each of you is a faculty member, is an advisor. How often do you actually get to see your students and talk to them? Face to face, especially the leaders. Casi nunca. Okay, so what I want, take 5 minutes for each of you to get to know each other. And then what I want to do is have the faculty stand up and switch tables. The students will stay where they are. No, 5 minutes, get to know the students at your table. By the end of those 5 minutes, I want you to tell me who that student is, where they're at, where they're planning on going, and how you think you could contribute to that. Okay? So 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. I think this will be good. I want them, because I really want our leadership also to start talking to these people, get comfortable with that. For those of you that are online, I would love for y'all to chat with each other about one of your specific mentees that you work with on a regular basis.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Okay, I don't have any specific mentees. I'm junior faculty, so I have mostly fellows, and I'm just trying to guide them through getting that research question. But obviously, I'm here in this conference because I'd like to engage all of our LHS Plus students, and I'm sure there's many, it's just I haven't been engaged at our institution. So, but what I do know from our fellows, just kind of in the general, talking generally, is they definitely struggle with reaching out. And so there has been a lot of value in us reaching out to them. But I know who they are and I've worked with them. So it's easy to then be like, hey, let's chat. Like, what are your ideas? And let me give you feedback. So that's what I've been doing thus far in these last couple of years since I joined.
So I don't know. So I am hello everybody. My name is Manuel Angelosco Sanchez. I'm a family physician, and I work at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. So I am one of the sponsors of LMSA. I will have to say that it varies year by year, and this year, just because of restrictions on meeting, right? So people are tired of Zoom meetings. So it's been kind of hard to coordinate it stuff and get a lot of excitement about it. But as I think about mentees, it's just kind of weird because I'm actually part of the Society for Adolescent Health and Medicine. And it's weird to me in that I think sometimes you're serving as a mentee and not actually realizing it. So I'm actually the incoming president of the organization. I used to be the director of programs, and I was just wanting to confirm. So it's somebody that's gonna become the next director of programs for organization. I mean, she's like, I was just confirming last Friday, and she's like, yeah, I've been watching you for years, So it's like, it is like I'm always reaching out to different people. We're multidisciplinary, so making sure that all disciplines are represented. We actually don't have that many Latinos as part of our organization. This one specific person is actually Nigerian, but it's just interesting that they're actually seeing how I do things and kind of trying to emulate some of this stuff. So it's just kind of interesting to me that people are actually watching you. And yeah, so I mean, our organization's 50 years old, and I'll be the second Latino president. So it's just like, it's an amazing thing that I never thought would happen. But just that's something that's gone in. An idea that I had in my mind 20 years ago as I joined the organization, right? So it's just like a long-term goal, but just trying to nurture that within everybody else within our organization, the young leaders, that's actually a possibility for them also.
Hey everybody, I'll share a little bit. My name is Alfonso Belmonte. I'm a pediatrician here at UNM. Not going to necessarily talk about a specific mentee, but kind of a group of mentees. The undergraduates who are aiming towards medical school. I'm actually kind of in this unique position where I'm on the admissions committee, so I can't write letters of recommendation. But I'm one of the few people who reaches out purposely to the organizations on main campus that attract minority students. And so I go to those organizations, say, hey, do you want shadowing experience? It's really important for medical school, so I'm available to you. And I get inundated with them. Like last weekend I was on service, I had three of them shadowing me on Saturday, and another 4 different young adults on Sunday. And it's just a shame to me that not other faculty members are willing to take this on. And it's just, it takes a little extra time, and there's a lot of opportunity to just get, even though I can't write letters of rec, I really mentor them in something that's really tangible for them. It's the medical school admissions interview. Hey, we just saw that patient. They're all the way from like across the state, and in their location, they don't have a children's hospital. So they have to go far from home, and they have to come to me for inpatient services, talking about, social determinants of health, structural determinants of health, structural racism. And it just takes a little extra time after each patient. And, I assign them, now you go home and journal at the end of the day, talk about, write about those things. And it's just a small investment from my time, but it's a huge investment from their perspective, right? Because these institutions aren't set up to value a lot of the things that they've experienced, but the shadowing is a great opportunity for them to do that. So I'm really proud of that work that I do on my own time, and I wish more people would do it, but that's kind of what I wanted to share.
Comments are different between our Latinx students and non-Latinx students, and is looking to publish. And we had a wonderful discussion on ideas to share with her. And she's from the Medical College of Wisconsin.
Wonderful.
Okay, this isn't fair because I've been working with Donald for like, I don't know, 8 months. I just want to be transparent about this. So Donald is the immediate past president of LMSA. It's been a pleasure working with him. He is 6th year into his MD PhD, is going to be defending in 3 months. His focus is immunology, and his goal is to eventually have his own lab, which I have no doubt he will acquire. As time goes on, he's going to go to Penn to get his. I don't know if he knew that. And ultimately is very much, obviously, because of his leadership background, is very much focused in carrying out what's on this paper and even creating leaders in Latino and medical education and healthcare. Did I get it?
That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
So we have Robert, and my colleague here from Puerto Rico said guapo. So we have a little competition going now. But Robert is Robert's taking what we would call it NJMS, the Scholars Year. He's at UC Riverside to really hone in and advance scholarship. So that way on his journey to going into surgery with either vascular or trauma trajectory. He is the CFO for his region, which means that he's had 24 medical schools. So that's a great skill set on his journey. I will challenge him to think about, right, division chief, chair, right? Because remember, we all have to, and on to dean, as Dr. Sanchez has said. So I think that's what, I don't think there's too much more, but I think we enjoyed our conversation. We learned a lot.
All right. So we spoke with Luke, but then later on, 2 other students came that we haven't met yet. So my name is Emma Oliveira, and I'm a pediatrician in Chicago suburbs. And Luke is currently doing his MD PhD. He's doing bioinformatics, and he's doing a lot of work in pancreatic cells and is interested in possibly doing surgical oncology. He's currently the LMSA Internal Affairs as his position within LMSA, and he's interested in creating stuff that we were passionate about as LMSA students in the past, which is creating a database in order to facilitate this, medical student to alumni work so that we can create mentorship programs, which is why we're all here, right? So we wish him very good luck because we have been unsuccessful in the past. Yes. But so maybe the last 2 medical students, do you want them to introduce themselves? Or
that's exactly what I was going to say. See, presidents, we think alike.
We have the vibe. Sure.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Corey. I'm the external VP for the LMSA. I go to Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. I got my MPH last year. I applied for neurology and will be matching in a couple of weeks. So, thank you.
Bravo, Corey. My name is Daphne. I come from Texas A&M College of Medicine. I belong to the Southwest region. I am National Programs and Events Liaison, and I am applying to pediatrics, best field in the whole wide world.
Yeah,
I would not do medicine if pediatrics didn't exist. Maybe I would do veterinary medicine or something. Anyway, very excited for the match and very excited to be here among all of you. And as they say, standing in your shoulders and paving the road for whoever's coming next.
For this second portion, each of the medical students, make sure you're at your own table. So Daphne, can you just go over on that table? Esmeralda or Rafa, if one of you can come over to this table. And then Corey, if you can come over to this table. Okay. All of you got to hear a little bit about each of these students. Please pick a table based on the student that's there who you think you might be able to mentor in a meaningful way. Each of these has a different career path. How do you think you could talk to them and give them advice as they go along? Do y'all need a quick reminder about what everyone wants to do? Ya ves, no ponieron atención. Mommy G, that table's empty. Daphne. So quick reminder, Daphne, pediatrician, Luke, MD, PhD, and Sir, oh, míralo, cirujano. Okay, Robert, Another cirujano. Donald, MD, PhD, and internal medicine. The adultos. Rafa, another MD, PhD, internal medicine. Adriana, anesthesia, and Esmeralda, med peds. So please find a student who you think you can really talk to and give advice to. Oh, Corey, I'm so sorry. I forgot about you. I wanted you at that table. And what are you doing, Corey? Neurology. Yeah, neurology is at this table. That was the plan. Yeah.
Because I think it wasn't structured. Like,
I would love that. We're all running around doing things. Okay. All right. So as you find your table, students, I want you to talk to these faculty and let them know how you think they can help you. How do you think these faculty can help you get to where you want to go? Especially because they think they can help you. So let's see if your thoughts align.
Hey, everybody, I've already talked, so I'm going to create space, but I'm just prompting people to look at the chat. And JP is encouraging us to talk about ideas to come up with to increase contact between faculty and trainees.
I talked also, so I'm going to wait a minute before I throw out things.
I'd say go for it, Gia.
Okay. Well, since I'm back at my home institution where I went to medical school, I think trying to bring back all the memories as a medical student. No, not medical school. I actually went to, yeah. Sorry, I'm totally getting confused now on my timeline. But I remember as a medical student, I knew that research was going to be important, but I wasn't sure I wanted to do bench work. And it seemed like it was pretty easy to find a bench work kind of research experience. So then I kind of tried to do some search on our interweb or whatever it was at the time. And I just was like, I mean, there's a lot of Latino sounding names, which I was like, maybe, I'll be more comfortable with them. But then I was like, well, I'm not sure what their research is about, so I don't want to just randomly do something. We now have a really nice webpage on UCLA, where all the faculty, you can look up the faculty, but it's patient oriented. So I just wonder if maybe, just because kind of like at institutions, medical students can have a resource like patients have resources of like looking up a doctor, like find a doctor, maybe kind of medical student look up like find these people who are willing to mentor you. That's just something that came to mind. I certainly haven't had anyone reach out to me, and granted, I haven't been on faculty for too long, but then I'm not sure how to reach out to them. So there's a communication piece there that I'm sure if I dug more, it might happen. So thus far, it's been a little bit challenging.
We have something kind of like that. We have like the faculty clinician side, and then we have something called Vivo. I don't remember what it stands for or if it stands for anything. But we write our own little paragraphs on interest, that kind of stuff. And I've had a couple undergrads kind of reach out to me for that kind of thing. And I think that we can't underestimate grassroots stuff that come from with the students that, there's, I think it's really easy for health sciences to work in silos. like physically here in Albuquerque, it's the medical school and then one street, and then it's the undergrad. But despite our proximity, there's not a lot of movement across. And so, key leaders in coming from North Campus, the Health Sciences Center, into the main campus, into areas that are already known as safe spaces. There's a place called Centro de la Raza on main campus. And it's just, I mean, that's where I went as an undergrad. That's where I, went through undergrad studying that kind of stuff. And just going into those spaces and offering, hey, so you want to be a doctor? This is what it looks like. Real simple, easy stuff. So those early connections, and then you see them get into medical school and then they seek you out. I think those early long-standing connections, which is culturally, we're really good at. I think that's a great way to start, that I've seen fruits grow from.
So I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head and just sharing experiences as an advisor. So over years, right, that they've kind of relied on me to identify the students, to identify other faculty. And actually the faculty have been really good, right, in terms of responding. And we've actually had the nice thing that some of our faculty have actually gone on and been president of the institution. And so they're always willing to come back and talk. But that's always, it takes a lot of effort, right, to do that. And so, and I have to be the first one to say that it seems like there's these meetings on Thursday on Thursday afternoons with LMSA, nationally, that I just find hard time to be able to make time to do that. But I'm just wondering if there's just some way to, on that, if there's a listserv or I don't even know there's a listserv or just communication where we can find each other's, I'm looking for a speaker on whatever X, Y, and Z that the medical students say that they really are interested in hearing about, and just trying, because now we've got this ability to do it, virtually, right? And so I think that would facilitate a lot of things, especially with the different expertise that y'all seem to be having. I think both y'all are pediatricians, right? Alfonso and Gia, is that right? Yeah, so I mean, I could just imagine, just asking people if they're interested in that and just finding ways to reach out. And I don't know, I guess everybody, I mean, I get the emails, but never make the meetings. So I mean, I don't know what's the best way to reach out. And I don't know if that's cataloged somewhere in terms of our expertise or our knowledge. Do y'all ever make those meetings?
I think I recently got hooked, because I recently got hooked up back with LMSA. I probably haven't been getting anything since I started because it's just so recent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that would be an interesting question.
Because he says he has a directory, but I don't know how much information he really has on us. like where we could easily find, these are our research expertise or the topics that we're interested in or that we speak about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm pretty novel too. I just got, I'm just settling into my new position with student affairs, and I'm like, oh yeah, if I'm going to do student affairs, I'm also going to support LMSA, and so I'm very new to this and still establishing connections and that kind of stuff. We already have an established advisor for LMSA, and I'm just going to start helping out. But I agree.
Nice. I was talking student affairs, yeah, because at our institution, there's like no Latinos on student affairs, right? It's like, what's going on here, and so there's just a lot of resistance and the thorn in everybody's side, and they're like get tired of talking to me. It's like, what's going on here, like, but yeah, I've had definitely uncomfortable discussions with the dean, and just like you don't see things. But it's nice that you're there in student affairs. So that's a really nice link, right? So that you can definitely, if you need to hook up with LMSA and try to make that happen.
I mean, it just gives me an idea of maybe I can just ask our IT people to put something on my profile like, hi, and if you're a medical student, feel free to reach out, because it sounds like just getting like that contact is really hard. And it sounds like it hasn't really changed much since I've been a medical student. So maybe it hasn't. I just don't know. That'd be interesting to explore. Like, how do we make that contact? How do we advertise? I don't know if that's the right word. That we're there and that we're personable and willing to help in whatever way we can.
And I think we should. It's funny because when we were when I was a medical student, I was like, yeah, I got this. I'm breaking generational issues, and I gave myself a lot of credit. And I think sometimes as a faculty member, I fall into the error of saying, no, they're the medical students, they don't, and then I have to catch myself and be like, no, wait a minute, they bring so much to the table. So I think even just connecting with like the students within the LMSA and be like, how can I serve you? What do you guys need? And they may have like a 10-point agenda of what they need from faculty. And here we are breaking our cracking our knuckles, trying to figure out what they need. No, they're organized. They know exactly what they need. I think just hearing that voice oftentimes is probably the easiest point of entry.
Hi, I'm like completely brand new, just started like three months ago. So I really don't know how this organization works, but I was sort of wondering, is there like a kind of discussion board or something where maybe a student could post, hey, I'm looking for this, this, and this, and then someone could answer, oh, I can help, just a thought.
Oh, that's such a great question, because when I went to the LMSA website, I was trying to see like, is there a, some pages have like Twitter feed or something like that on the side. I'm like, is that someplace where like the students can be like, hey, at my institution, I don't have, someone, or I need someone that from another institution to help me out with this interest. And I couldn't really tell, but then of course I was also questioning, like, am I on the right page that the students would go to? I have no idea. So, and yeah, and maybe it's because I'm new. It sounds like fairly similar to your timeline, but yeah,
So
it'd
I'm
be
like,
interesting to know.
just wondering. It's just an idea because I know we use those things all the time. So I'm like, well, that would be easy for people to connect that way.
I don't know, maybe we can ask the students, like, when you're networking, like, what page do you go to? And then maybe have something there. That might be something as a starting point.
And I'm just looking at the website now, and they have a little thing, whoops. They have a little mentor thing, and it says their name, specialty, and mentor registry is what it's called. And it has like a little Google Doc, and it has state locations, school name, specialty, and then it has a little area for special request or special interest, etc. I'll put it in the chat.
Where is that? Oh, under mentorship, you mean?
Yeah. The mentorship registry. So I need to figure out how to put my name on there.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even come across this. when I was looking through. That's weird. I wonder why not. Okay, thanks. That's actually really cool. Yeah, I don't know how I'd get on there even. It'd be nice if it was like searchable or like, because I see there's state, institution, but I don't see that you can toggle between state, institution, like you just have to read through it all.
Right. No filtering or anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's definitely good to know it's there. I just wonder if it needs a little revamping, a little more user friendliness. Because I'd imagine as a medical student, I'd feel a little overwhelmed. Like, ooh, I guess I'll look at everyone in California where I'm at. Someone mentioned like a Microsoft Teams platform. I'm assuming for like something like getting into a group and doing like a social thing. I'm assuming like, hey, we welcome you. If you're a student, come have happy hour virtually or something like that. So Lena, you were thinking like even just community building through that platform, kind of like Slack. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced Slack, but sure.
Hi, this
For
is
the
Lena.
purposes that this session is also to afford CME credit, I want to make sure that, the faculty and physicians on the screen who are also going to be submitting CME, and all of you faculty and staff also here, are going to be signing off on CME, that we just have a final review and discussion, and then close it off so that people could go to their next session. So I think it's fair to do, once again, what we did before. If we just want to go around the room and each table can share, maybe we had the fact, you want to do it the same way, or you want to have the students do it this time? Okay, great. Okay, great. So we can go around the room and have the students.
At the same time, positives or negatives. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
For the sake of our next session, also starting at 4:30, the students provide a brief supplementary session.
Great.
Make sure we're ready for the next session.
Okay, great. So like a minute, we have like 7 tables and we have like 10 minutes. So who wants to go first?
Mike's over here.
Oh, great. Daphne or no? Sorry. This
I
guy
can
right
start
here.
and then we'll walk it over. So I had a really fruitful conversation just because our biggest problem as a local chapter, I go to Wayne State, has been the lack of continuous faculty contact and what that means in terms of like continuity and longevity of any activity that we decide as a board. Fortunately, before coming to conference, we had 2 potential candidates that we want to fill that role from the professional standpoint, and these 2 lovely people did me the favor of walking through a little bit of that recruitment process and things to consider from the student leadership side of things to make sure that we keep the faculty advisor involved and that we keep a lot of our activities alive. So I will take that to heart and I will communicate that to my chapter.
Excellent. Thank you. Great.
So for the purpose of time, my table, we started off by discussing my dreams or what I foresee my medical career to be, and they gave me good tools to pursue that, tangible tools, starting with getting involved with the Academy of Pediatrics, different mentees, and they also gave me their contact information. The first step is to reach out, so I will be doing that. Thank you.
Hello. So we have the procedural table with surgery and OBGYN. And I think the main theme of our table was basically making sure that we continue to be involved, but also making sure that whatever it is that we are involved in helps us move vertically and we're not, stagnant, moving, horizontal shifts. We're constantly moving up. And basically just, remaining involved and doing whatever we can to continue to do what we do for, I'm sorry, I'm getting why we do what we do. Sorry. I had 3 cups of coffee, sorry.
We had a wonderful extended conversation about really how to tackle exploring clinical specialties, how to cultivate networks of support, not just amongst peers, but also amongst faculty and other advisors at our institution and elsewhere, how to learn how to be comfortable advertising and selling ourselves. At times it can be uncomfortable for us to brag and to feature ourselves because of our upbringing and our heritage. How to be comfortable with delegating when times get tough in terms of our schedules, whether that's as trainees or as early faculty, being okay with not being entirely present, but handing it off to others that will carry that baton, and then you can trade that back and forth, is a way to advance the things that we care about and maintain involved even in stressful periods. Anything we good? Yeah, I think we're good.
So for our discussion, we talked about sort of a national multi-institutional partnerships for my project in medical education. And then also the importance of mentorship, not just at my institution, but at different other institutions, and then looking at programs that review like applications more holistically.
Excellent.
So at our table, we discussed a lot of similar themes about mentorship and really building a network that will support you, and to consider academic medicine and the importance of scholarship moving forward if that is what you pursue.
Here at the neurology table, we were talking about kind of the flexibility of what a neurology career can look like, specifically taking a look at neurocritical care versus neuro-oncology and the kind of patient relationships that you might develop out of pursuing one versus the other. Also speaking a bit about the kind of resources that are available for us through the American Academy of Neurology and a lot of the mentorship programs that that the AAN has that are available for students. So a lot of great guidance. Thank you so much.
I'll just go over here. You don't have to walk over. It's okay. Hi. So me and Dr. Sanchez, we talked about like emergency medicine since I am a 4th year, so I've already submitted my rank list. So we were just talking about the different institutions I ranked and ways to get involved with like faculty and potentially become like faculty later on.
Awesome. So as many of you know, we have 4 specialty chairs. What we're trying to do is to be aligned with ACGME, afford more specialty sections within LMSA. Dr. Carrillo staffed 1 specialty chair section yesterday in internal medicine. Dr. Romero-Leggett chaired family medicine. Dr. Soto-Green also internal medicine. And we had Dr. Jorge Ortiz doing surgery. So this can happen at every conference through this structure where we'll have specialty chairs to support you, right, as you go through it. And that really helps your institutions meet accreditation standards, right? And if they're meeting their accreditation standards, they're going to pay more to send the students and the faculty here. So hopefully this served as a great exercise that in the planning of next year, more of this can happen, right? Not only on the chapter level at the institution, but during these national conferences. So with that, sorry, my apologies to the people on the Zoom. Any final thoughts before we close out? Anyone on the Zoom? Oh, no. Okay. There. So I want to thank everyone. Remember that in the program that was sent to you, there's CME. Please apply for the CME ASAP because it'll close within a month's time. So for Líderes, Listos, and the Alumni Professional Track, remember, and then I'm going to hand it over to Donald to tell us where we could go next before the gala.
Again, thank you to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuously being a support to our students and the organization. There is a little bit of time for a coffee break right now, but we are going to move into the ballroom at 4:30 for our closing keynotes and final remarks. Thank you again.